remember.
See you in the future. You mean the past?
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Okay. Sherman, set the Wayback Machine for...
1885!
1975.
1984.
The latter half of the 20th century.
What's that from, the 80s?
That's probably in the 70s.
Good morning, MegaPodlings. It's Crazy Joe. A thought occurred to me the other day. It was a surprising thought. There was an article about a possible remake, reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street. And in the article, it mentioned the 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street starring Jackie Earl Haley. Now, what's interesting is I saw that movie twice in the theater, and I didn't realize it was 10 years old, and that kind of blew my mind that we're 10 years out from the release of the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. Just, wow, where does the time go? I decided that maybe it's time we revisit that movie, take another look at it. I have not seen the movie since its original theatrical release in 2010. It's on HBO Max, which I can access through my PlayStation 4 because they're not on Roku yet, which annoys the crap out of me. But I can access HBO Max through my PS4. And I'm thinking maybe it's time I watch this movie after 10 years and give it a fair shot. Here is the deal. I saw the movie opening night in 2010 at a midnight screening. I was very groggy because I'd been up late the night before. I even drifted off a couple times watching the movie because I was really tired, and it was a midnight show. But I walked out really liking the movie and thinking, wow, that was really good. I heard a lot of negative reviews, and I didn't understand it because I thought the movie was solid. I went and saw it a second time. And interestingly enough, my second time was at the theater that is now Water Tower Cinema, and that was at a time when I did not even live in this area. I drove like 40 minutes to this area where I now live just to see the movie because it was the only theater still showing it. The movie had basically left theaters and one theater still had it, and it was 40 minutes away from me. And I really wanted to see the movie a second time, so I drove 40 minutes to the theater that is now known as Water Tower Cinema and is now 5 minutes from my house. And I watched it for the second time there. And the second time I was much more wide awake, and I did not drift off, and I was very much there. And I hated the movie. I mean, I hated it, which made me wonder, what did I see in it the first time? What was it that I saw the first time that made me say, yeah, that's a good movie? That I go back and I'm like, this is garbage. And I think it really all boiled down to the fact that the first time around, I was blown away by Jackie Earle Haley's performance. Jackie Earle Haley was a great choice for Freddy Krueger. I don't think the movie worked. I don't think the script was good. I don't think a lot of the other characters were good. But Jackie Earle Haley, that first viewing, I was so captivated with his performance as Freddy. And it's very hard to top Robert Englund. Robert Englund is so associated with that role. But Haley was up to the job. And second time around, I'm like, I think the first time I was groggy, I was tired, and I was impressed with Haley's performance. And I think that carried me through the movie and I left the theater with a very, very positive opinion of the film. But then when I watched the movie a second time, critically, I did not care for it. Now, I should tell you, I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. Jacob and I have talked on the podcast recently about the upcoming Friday the 13th box set, and I said, I'm not a huge Friday the 13th guy. I like those movies, but I am a big Freddy guy. I've got all the movies on Blu-ray. I've got bootlegs of the TV series, which is not available officially, so I'm stuck with bootlegs. Somebody put this out. Stick it up on HBO Max. Stick it on HBO Max. Why not? Why not? It's extra content, right? I got an autographed copy of I Am Nancy, Heather Langenkamp's documentary, signed by Heather Langenkamp. She was a guest on my show, and she sent me this. And I'm going to tell you, I love her. I'll never have anything but great things to say about Heather Langenkamp. I got the documentary Never Sleep Again. I've got this beautiful autographed picture of Robert Englund. I am a fan. I am a big fan of the Freddy series. I think they are great. But I did not like this remake after the second viewing, and I never went back for a third viewing. Here we are 10 years later. I'm going to watch this movie, and we will revisit it So let's check it out again. Will my opinion change? We're about to find out. All right, I am back from having watched the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street remake for the first time in a decade. Not since it had played in theaters. That's the last time I saw this movie, and I can't believe it's been 10 years, but it's been 10 years. So for the past 10 years, I have been saying I don't care for this movie. And, I thought let's revisit it. Let's see if my opinion's changed. I obviously liked it the first time I saw it. Then the second time, my opinion changed wildly. So where do I stand now? Well, the movie's not a disaster. It's not a disaster. It's not total garbage. But it's not very good. It's really not very good. Let me give you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. I'll start with what I don't like about it. Let's end positive, right? We'll do the negative first, then we'll end positive. What I don't like about it is it's very uninspired. It's very uninspired. It hits so many of the beats and scenes of the original film. We get Nancy in the bathtub with the hand coming up. We get, Freddy coming through the wall. We get lines like, whatever you do, don't fall asleep. They even take lines from some of the other Nightmare sequels, like, how's this for a wet dream? So it plays like a cover band playing your favorite band's song. Wouldn't you just rather hear your favorite band play the song than hear the cover band do it? That's what it feels like. It feels like a cover band. Cassidy from the TV show Arrow. Most people know her as Laurel Lance on Arrow. She's in this movie, and she plays the Tina role from the original. The character's name is now Chris. They changed a lot of the characters' names, but they play the same kind of role. So she kind of plays the role that Tina played in the original film. And we get the same thing if she's in bed with her boyfriend and Freddy kills her in bed and she gets raised up, killed on the ceiling, falls down. The boyfriend they think he did it. And it's like, well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Which begs the question, why do we need this? If you're just giving us, it's like the shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. If you're just going to give us what we already have, what's the point? We already have it. Now, the thing is, they do change some things, and there are some genuine good ideas in this movie. First of all, let's go with the positive. So that's the negative. The negative is too much of stuff we've seen before and done without flair. Done very bland, very paint by numbers. It's like, okay, we get it. Oh, we're doing the thing where she gets killed on the ceiling. Oh, we're doing the thing where Freddy comes through the wall because she's half asleep in bed. Oh, here comes the scene with the... And it's like, well, all right, okay, yeah, I know what you're doing. I know this scene. Yep, okay. So that's the negative. Too much repeat of what we know before. And you may say, but hey, Crazy Joe, it's a remake. That's what they're remaking it. What do you expect? Of course you're going to get some crossover. And maybe, if it was done with a little more flair, okay. It just felt like a bland copy, a paint by numbers copy. It's like, okay, not only have I seen this before, but you're not adding any... I don't know. It's flat. It's very flat. You're not adding any... I don't even know the word I'm looking for. But I'd like it to pop more. It's like if I'm going to watch the same thing before, make it pop, present the same thing in a way that is somehow interesting and makes me say, okay, I've seen this before, but I haven't completely seen it before. It feels different. This just feels like a copy in those moments. Now, let's get to the positives. Number one, Jackie Earle Haley gives a great performance. Jackie Earle Haley is a terrific Freddy Krueger. He's great. It's not easy to step into those shoes as Freddy. It's really not easy at all. Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund played the character of Freddy Krueger. Let's see. I don't have the actual numbers in front of me. I'm doing this in my head, okay? About 52 times. Robert Englund played the character of Freddy Krueger about 52 times. He did 8 movies, and roughly, I didn't count the numbers here, but I'm saying roughly 44 episodes of the TV series. I'm assuming they did 22 episodes a year, 2 seasons, and Robert Englund hosted every episode in like the Crypt Keeper, on Tales from the Crypt, in that kind of format. Some of the episodes he was the star. He was actually an active character in the story. But in most episodes he was like the Crypt Keeper. He kind of was the one telling you the story. But he was in every episode of Freddy's Nightmares in some capacity, whether it was the storyteller or an active participant in the story. And assuming they did 22 episodes a year, which I didn't check on, that's 44 episodes plus 8 movies. So Robert Englund has played the character of Freddy Krueger more than any other horror icon was played by a single actor. More than any other. When you think of Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster, he only did about 3 movies. Boris Karloff he did Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. I think he did Son of Frankenstein. Did he do, maybe he did 4, but yeah, no more than 4. I think he did 3. Bela Lugosi, you think of Bela Lugosi as Dracula. He did 2. He played Dracula twice. Dracula and Abbott and Costello meet Dracula. That's it. Lon Chaney played the Wolfman like 4 times. Okay? Jason. Different Jason in every movie except for 4 times it was Kane Hodder. Other than that, other than the 4 times it was Kane Hodder, different Jason in every movie. These horror icons are not played by the same actor time and time and time again, except for Robert Englund, who did 8 movies and 2 seasons of a TV show. Nobody has played a horror icon as long as Robert Englund. So walking into those shoes and saying, I'm going to fill the shoes of this guy who's so identified in this role, it's really hard. Jackie Earle Haley gives a great performance. Now, he's not copying Robert Englund, which I think would have been a complete disaster. If he came in and tried to imitate Robert Englund, I don't think it would have worked. He put his own spin on it. His Freddy was creepier. He played a creepier Freddy. Robert Englund always played this character with a little bit of a wink, a little bit of a sense of humor. People always complain that the later Nightmare on Elm Street movies got too silly. He was scary in the first couple, but then he got to be too much of a comedian making one-liners. I kind of say that's nonsense. He was making one-liners right from the start. Robert Englund was always kind of playing this guy as a bit of a stand-up comedian. Maybe they leaned into it heavier in the later ones, but it's not like it wasn't there in part 1. So Jackie Earle Haley's playing a much more sinister, dark Freddy Krueger, which is what the script calls for. Now, Jackie Earle Haley, if you watched him on a TV show like Human Target, he was really good on Human Target, which was a short-lived show. It's streaming now on the DC Universe app. If you have DC Universe, you could watch Human Target. He was quite good on it. He can be a funny guy. Jackie Earle Haley can play funny. So if the script had called for Freddy to be making more one-liners and more wisecracks, he could have performed that too. So really, it was a question of what the script did. So yeah, Jackie Earle Haley is a superstar in this movie. He's a superstar. It's a shame he never got a chance to play Freddy a second time, because I think he would have excelled with a better script. And I'm still on board. If they want to do another Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I say get Jackie Earle Haley back. Get Jackie Earle Haley back. Give him a chance to shine. Because this movie doesn't give him really the chance to shine. He deserves it. Give him a chance to shine as Freddy. But I would improve his makeup. I don't really like the makeup job for Freddy in the new movie. I think if they tweak the makeup, they can make him look a little more classic. Make him look a little more like Robert Englund's makeup job. Don't copy Robert Englund's performance, but the look of the character is the look of the character. Let's get back to the classic makeup. So Jackie Earle Haley is my number one good thing about this film. The other good thing is I like the mystery aspect where they kind of make it feel like maybe Freddy was innocent. Maybe Freddy was wrongfully convicted. And these parents, he wasn't even convicted. These parents took the law into their own hands. Maybe the parents were the ones in the wrong here. Maybe Freddy didn't do anything. Ultimately, spoiler alert for a 10-year-old movie, spoiler alert, we find out Freddy did do it. Freddy was guilty. But that was an interesting twist. I'll give him that. I kind of liked that idea that, like, maybe Freddy wasn't the bad guy. Maybe Freddy was the one that was wronged. And that's the kind of an interesting twist that if you bring it to a remake, it makes it a little bit different. Just a little bit different, so you're not repeating. And I thought that was a cool idea. Another thing I liked was the director, he brought a visual flair to it that was kind of cool, where we had this idea of the micro naps, where these people would have these micro naps, and as they were kind of falling in and out of consciousness, we would see the world around them shift. Dream world, real world, dream world, real world. And we kind of see it like when Rooney Mara's Nancy is in the supermarket and she's like standing on one aisle of the supermarket and she starts having a micro nap, and we see the aisle of the supermarket turning back and forth from Freddy's boiler room to the supermarket. It's shot really cool. It looks cool. It does. That was a neat idea. So those are the things that I think kind of sort of make the movie a little bit worthwhile. Ultimately, I don't like this movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's got some good things about it. And I do wish we'd gotten more. I do wish... My idea is I would like to see a continuity-free Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. What do I mean when I say continuity-free? Those are weird words. I'll tell you what I mean. What I mean is I'd like to see Jackie Earle Haley come back in a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie as Freddy Krueger, where we do not reference, aside from, Freddy being, killed by the parents, that's part of the lore. You have to reference that. But you don't make direct references to any previous Nightmare on Elm Street movie. You don't reference Nancy, you don't reference Jesse, you don't reference Alice, you don't reference any of the characters in the remakes. You make no references to any of the previous films. So this film could follow the continuity of the first 8, or it could follow the continuity of the remake. We don't really know. We don't really know because nothing is stated to tell us what the previous continuity was. You don't discredit any of the other films. You don't say anything that would discredit those films, but you also don't acknowledge them. That way, it allows people to have their headcanon. If you're a fan of the original 8 films and don't like the remake and you just want to see them continue on with the continuity of the original, in your head, this film could be a continuation of the first 8. If you like the remake, you could view this as part 2. Just keep the continuity out of it to allow the fans to have their headcanon and imagine where it takes place. But I would bring Jackie Earle Haley back. I would get a much, much, much better script, because the script was... I did not care for it. Did not care for it. And get someone really good to direct it. Someone like these guys that did Ready or Not, who are now going on to make Scream 5. Like, I'm not saying it has to be them, but someone who's got some credibility in the horror genre, someone who has done good work in the past and that can deliver. Get someone like that. That's where I would go with another Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I think it would be great to see Jackie Earle Haley back getting another shot at it. So that's my thoughts. 10 years later, a revisit of the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm still going to say not crazy about it, but the movie's not a disaster. It does have some positives to it. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Comment down below. Let me know what you think of this particular movie. All right. Keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas. with the plastic feet.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Tell everyone you meet.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
With the back door flap.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Don't open, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, but people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander adamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas.
Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas.
And now we're having fun.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
And now the song is done.